Hey guys, Jameson DIY here with somewhat of an unboxing video for this timing belt kit. That's kind of weird for me to do, but I just got this timing belt kit in the mail from Amazon. I'll be doing this timing belt in a few days on my friend's car. It's an Aisin TKT-021. This fits a Toyota 4.7 liter. The reason I'm doing this mainly is because it's mainly because I'm bored, but also because I'd like to show you what comes in the Aisin kit. Now, Aisin is a Japanese brand. They make components for Hondas, Toyotas, Chevys, and other manufacturers, Nissans. They pretty much make a lot of the OEM components that you'll see. So anyway, whenever I do jobs like this, I always push to customers OEM parts. When I do it on my own cars, I prefer OEM parts, and when I do it for friends, I also recommend OEM parts, which is why I ordered this kit. So we're going to look inside and see what comes in an Aisin kit, and after the job's done, I'll compare it to what's on there. But let's look inside. Again, we have the Aisin kit with the water pump, timing belt, instruction card, tensioner, bearing, water pump gasket kit. Okay, so it's Aisin World Corp of America and assembled in the USA. Assembled in the USA only means that it was boxed in the USA. That's it. So, looking inside, we have the Lexus Toyota instruction manual. You can see that it does fit the 4.7s, which is what we're using on. It also says it fits the 4 liters. So I guess those are the same. The Lexus GS 400, 430, and the 4.3s. Okay, so the 400s and the 430s and the 4700s is what this kit supposedly fits. Or the instructions are the same and the kit's different. Either way, we have a pretty good novel here if you want to search through all that. And for our Hispanic and French viewers, we also have instructions in Espanol and Francais. Pretty good. Alright, let's look first at the NTN auto tensioner. So I've already peeled this back because it looked like it said made in J there. So we can see it is made in Pan, or if you read between the lines, we'll say Japan. So it's either made in Pan or it's made in Japan. I'm going to assume Japan. This is going to be the tensioner. So the thing about this tensioner, I've already looked at this, is that it doesn't have any sort of markings on the outside. It looks kind of cheesy, kind of cheap. It has the 2 in there. I don't know if that's supposed to be anything other than just a identifier. And then if we look inside, we can see some numbers, but none of the numbers or letters say anything about the country of origin. But since the box says made in Japan, we'll assume that it is in fact made in Japan, or maybe it's just the box that's made in Japan. Who knows? The casting looks kind of crap, honestly. But for now, we'll just go with this, and we'll see what the old one looks like. I'm very impressed with the casting of this tensioner, but the box is definitely made in Japan, so I'm pretty sure the quality of the box is probably pretty good. Okay, next up we have the Koyo. This is the idler bearing, but it's the idler tensioner, I'm sorry, it's the idler. The idler tensioner. That doesn't even make sense. Can't open this box with one hand. But we can see right there, it is made in Japan. J-Tech, whatever that means, but it is a Koyo bearing, which is made in Japan. Made in Japan, 100%. You can look here at the idler pulley. You can see right here, Japan. We got some part numbers here. We got Koyo, so we know that it's not just the box that's made in Japan. The actual tensioner, idler, sorry, is also made in Japan. There's the part number. So another part we have made in Japan. The box has not lied so far. Alright, up next we have the tensioner pulley, NSK bearings. If we look very closely and in a spot that's very not noticeable at all, we will see that this has motion and control. No, seriously, what we're looking for is made in Japan, but you can't forget about the motion and control. I'm going to open this box because I need two hands and you can see nothing. Here we are back. I opened the box with both of my hands. We kind of got the same kind of cheap looking casting marks as we did on the other. I'm not going to hold that against it for now. If we look at the bearing, we can see again made in Japan, but there's nothing on the casting, so it makes me wonder whether or not the outer part here is actually made in Japan. You know, because a lot of things say made in America and it only means parts of it are made in America. So I don't know. I'm not sure. This casting seems kind of it looks cheap. That doesn't mean that it is. And then we got these, you know, slag here. So I'm not sure about that. But, you know, this is the part that just essentially bolts down. This is the part that spins and does all the work. And it is made in Japan. So we're going to say that's probably pretty good. Alright. So here we have some goodies. We have the Aisin timing belt sticker. We have the belt. Let's look at that. Before we look at that, we're going to take a quick look at the gasket, which is very nice. This is a metal gasket with some fibrous type stuff, I believe. Some sort of coating here. And then on the inside we have the rubber insert. So no sealant will be required at all. We don't have to throw the gasket away because it's not paper crap. It's actually a very stiff metal gasket, just like original equipment. And from what I can see, there's no country of origin, which I'm not surprised because it is a gasket. Yeah, I don't see any country of origin. We have a couple of O-rings for coolant orifices, which we will find out later what they are. Okay, so here's the belt, here's the good stuff, here's the heart of what we are doing on this repair. This is a Mitsubishi, not to be confused with Mitsubishi. This is pretty much the belt brand that you want to get for any Toyota because it has things like this and that. And if we turn it over some more, we'll have things like that. So this will vastly reduce the difficulty for a beginner of this timing belt. You can watch the timing belt video when it's out. You can also check out my other Toyota timing belt video on the 4Runner. But either way, this is the same brand. This is the brand that I like to use at work. This is what I like to use on my own stuff. And this is what I like to use all the time on Toyotas because it's pre-marked. It has lots of things to help you out. Reference marks. When you read the OEM service data for this truck, it actually tells you if your belt is not marked to make marks. Now, are the marks absolutely necessary? No, they're not, but they make things a lot easier whenever you're installing it, especially for the DIYer or inexperienced timing belt installer. So this is a belt I recommend. Even if you don't go with this kit, I would go with this brand of belt. Okay, here it is, the last thing in the box besides that doohickey. We have the water pump. I went ahead and took the liberty of removing the prophylactic from the water pump so we could get a good look at it. And just like the other things, it doesn't look all that impressive. It just looks like your kind of standard made in China, Gates, Dayco, Aisin. I mean, it all just kind of looks the same. I really can't tell any of these things apart. I imagine that all of them are made in the same place because there is no real identifying markers on any of the cast aluminum. Pretty much any of the brands that you see are going to have things like this. They're going to have all this casting crap right here, things like that. There's nothing on this pump that suggests that it's made in Japan or America or China or Taiwan, Bangladesh. One thing I will point out, the instructions do say that this surface does not use a gasket, it uses RTV. So it does not come with a gasket for this sealing surface. That is RTV. It's in the directions. I read it. If we look at the back, we look at the sealing surface here, which looks nice and machined and even, and this is really much more important than, you know, what the rough edges look like on the outside. This is really what is important. So if you're seeing any imperfections here, which we do, things like that, it's probably caused in shipping. If you have a lot of gouges or anything like that, I would suggest applying a tad bit of RTV to the gasket, but only with major gashes. These are all pretty minor. The gasket should be able to fill up things like this, but if you have anything major, I would suggest either getting a new water pump or using a tiny bit of RTV to fill in those little imperfections. But either way, we have no identifying markings saying that this is made in Japan, that this is made by Aisin. I imagine it's not made by Aisin because typically the water pumps that are made by Aisin will actually say Aisin on them somewhere. And this one does not. So I imagine that this one is just a Chinese or Taiwan made unit. So that's about it, guys. That is the Aisin timing belt water pump kit. You can see that most of the important things are made in Japan. They are OEM equivalent. A couple of things that we saw, we're not sure if they are OEM. The water pump being the main thing, the tensioner being somewhat questionable. All the bearings appear to be made in Japan, and everything appears to be OE. This is going on a Toyota, so being made in Japan, I would imagine it's going to be sourced from the manufacturer. The water pump is probably sourced from somewhere else. This kit is made in America, meaning it was put in a box in America. The parts are made in Japan, other than the ones that don't say they're made in Japan. There's a little picture there that shows you this is where sealant is required, the RTV. So yeah, I did purchase this on Amazon for a whopping 168 bucks. So I would recommend that that's where you buy it, because it is the cheapest that I found, even cheaper than my price that I get through my work discount. If you're not buying the kit and you're just looking to replace the belt, I would recommend this Mitsubishi, which is made in the USA apparently and has Japanese writing on it. There's some part numbers for you. There's some more part numbers for you. And that's it, guys. If you are looking for the install, that should be up shortly. We're also going to be doing some other repairs on the Toyota in the next few weeks, so stay tuned for that as well. Thanks for watching. Jameson DIY out.